Hey guys, my name's Crystal Kenny, and I'm in love with creating. All things artistic and imagination involved. I'm an American girl who chased her creative dreams all the way to Paris, France, making a living using photography. This podcast takes you inside the stories of all the artsy folks I've met along the way and gives you that extra push to discover your creative gifts. The desire to create is deeply inside each and every one of us, and I give you the tools and inspiration to find a new way of living a more creative life. This is La Vie Creative, the podcast. I'm so excited to share this guest today. She grew up between Australia and the Philippines, but moved to Paris in 2013. She always had a love of music, but it wasn't until she was humming some jazz music next to her mailbox that a French man made her believe that she needed to try singing full-time. This blew into a career of street performing and even wearing one of Josephine Baker's pieces of clothing as she performed outside Josephine Baker's house with a tap dancer. I think you're really going to enjoy this episode with Melissa and learn all about what it's like to perform in the streets of Paris. So welcome to the show, Melissa. I have been looking forward to this interview because you are my first street art performer, musician, doing all the things. And I am so excited to learn more about you today.
Oh, so happy to be with you. And, I've been listening to the podcast. I actually got in touch with you because I'm friends with Sonia Bajik, who you interviewed not so long ago. So it's a real pleasure.
I love Sonia.
Yeah.
She's great.
She's lovely. And she does come to my concerts, actually. She's been super supportive. So it's nice to have that connection.
Yeah. Wow. Artists supporting artists.
Yeah, and it's true that street art is such an important part of the Parisian culture. So it's been great for me to discover that and really get into the scene. So
yeah, definitely. We'll talk more about your performing and your singing later in the show, but I want to start from the beginning. You are you were living between Australia and the Philippines, which, hello, sunshine. We were just talking about how that's not happening here. And then you moved to France in 2013. So what made you move here?
Well, just because it's awesome, I guess, but really because of the music. I always loved French music. I studied musicology at the Conservatorium in Sydney, and I was always obsessed. The thing that really, made my heart palpitate and all that was it was French music, but French Baroque music, things you would have heard at the court of Louis XIV in Versailles, all this stuff. So I kind of I was always obsessed with that, but also, the French pop, yeah, girls and all that stuff. It was always very much there, and it tended to be something I romanticized a lot. Mm-hmm. And then I guess there just wasn't that much happening musically for me anyway in Sydney. There were lots of concerts to go to. It's kind of really healthy live music scene, but certainly there wasn't very much jazz. Mm-hmm. And then certainly for the Baroque music, there's a little scene in Australia, but there's just not that much. And when I came here, I really had the opportunity to be involved in that. I worked as a research assistant for somebody who was a French Baroque specialist, studying music of Rameau and Lully. It seems so far away from what I'm doing today, but that was really how I started. It was for love of music.
Yeah, it's so funny how you just packed your bags. You're like, yeah, I feel like you were in another life in like a French orchestra or something. It's like, why would you take interest in that? It's so funny being from Australia and you
strange.
Just love. I
guess in Australia I felt a little bit like an alien, and now I still feel like an alien, but like a chic alien. I know. But something really made sense for me here culturally, and I think it's mainly to do with music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love how when you first arrived, you said you used to work at the Brocante selling French pornographic posters. Talk about some of the odd jobs you've had in France.
It's been kind of a fun ride with lots of unexpected twists, which is I think what most people hope for in Paris. But when I arrived, I started working as a freelance journalist. But just to kind of get out and about and meet people, and also to have a little security blanket, I took up a weekend job working for a store called Tombé du Camion, which means basically stuff that's fallen off the back of a truck. It's all dead stock vintage. They used to have a very charming store in Montmartre, but they still have a big shop in the Marché aux Puces at Saint-Ouen.
Hmm.
So that was my first job in Paris.
I love
um,
that.
and I probably still would be working there, except that I had needed a job a little more specialized for my visa, and so I got hired by a record company to work with French artists, mainly classical artists, opera singers, pianists, and that sort of thing. So that's what I was doing for a while after that. And yeah, it opened up a whole new world, lots of concerts, at all the wonderful venues here. The Théâtre des Champs-Élysées, now the Philharmonie de Paris, which didn't even exist at the time. So
Hmm.
yeah, it really
Yeah.
threw me into the sort of cultural arena here.
So, did you speak French when you arrived? I mean, you said you were working for a prestigious label. I mean, how interesting. It was Warner Classics. Like, how did you even get that job?
So I was very lucky. When I was in Australia, I worked with a guy who worked for Warner in New York. And when I arrived in Paris, maybe 6 months after, he let me know that they were looking for somebody who spoke French already, and I did because I studied French a little bit in high school, and who was already living in Paris. And this label, it's called Warner Classics and Erato. Erato was the label that I listened to in Australia to discover all this amazing Baroque music. And then they had just reopened. They had folded many years ago, and then they had been reacquired by Warner
Hmm.
Classics the year that I arrived in Paris. So it really felt a little bit meant to be. So I wound up working for these guys, and they have such a rich catalog of Baroque music. So if there are any classical nerds listening to your podcast, check them out.
Yeah. And what was it like working with some of those famous French musicians? I mean, that must have been really dreamy for you.
It was kind of dreamy. It was musicians like Alexandre Tarot, the pianist, opera singers like Sabine Delvieille. There were some of them I'd already listened to in Australia, and I never imagined even seeing them live on stage, let alone working directly with them on their new albums and that sort of thing. So, yeah, that was really an amazing introduction into the culture that I felt that I'd wanted to be a part of, and it kind of
Hmm.
just fell into place when I got here.
I feel like that's a
Really
perfect
huge stroke of luck.
example. Yeah, like when you start putting it in the universe, it all just came right into your lap, it sounds like. And you mentioned in your biography that you never sang, you didn't dare to sing your own music or make your own music. Why not? Did you know you could sing? I mean, now you're performing in the streets, you sing. And did you sing before you got to Paris, or did you even like play around with music
Oh
of your
yeah,
own?
absolutely. I mean, I definitely have a musical background. I grew up playing piano. I had the really typical classical education, and I'd always been singing. I knew I should probably have been studying singing, but I never took a singing lesson. I was really shy.
Mhm.
I think it was a video clip of Björk that I saw when I was 8 that made me start sort of imitating her, and then vocalizing, and it all started like that, but in parallel to a very like standard classical education. And so when I got to Paris, I mean, I tried all sorts of things. I bought an accordion and taught myself how to play accordion. I play very badly, but it's kind of fun to sing along and try and work out the songs and that sort of thing. And I sang in some bands. I did little things like this, but it never crossed my mind to sing jazz. I always listened to jazz growing up. I listened to Billie Holiday, Nina Simone, and it just had no connection to what I was doing. And I think if it wasn't for having moved to Paris, I think I never would have tried.
Mhm.
It never would have crossed my mind. And I think what I'm doing now in Paris as a jazz singer, I couldn't have done ever in Australia, and maybe also not even in New York or London or another city where there's a rich jazz scene. It
Mhm.
really became a thing that was particular to Paris, and I think it all started from there basically.
Yeah, definitely. Paris is so famous for the from the jazz scene. And I have a good friend who sings jazz in Paris as well, and she said that it's sometimes a very male dominated field or a very locally dominated field. Do you feel that way?
Yes and no. It depends on what kind of jazz. And it also depends on what you play. I feel that there's definitely a divide between singers, female singers, and male instrumentalists. So it might be, I think it was maybe a year of singing jazz before I met even a female jazz pianist. In this case, it was Ramona Horvath, a fantastic pianist. And I gradually got to know more like that. Katia Schiavone, an amazing jazz guitarist. But there are so few. Most of them, it tends to be a little bit of a boys' club. And it's true that when I started singing, I would just sort of show up in a jam, um, and there'd be, I don't know, five or six really fantastic musicians, probably all guys. And I would just come up and say, "Hi, do you mind if I sing something?" And I just suggest a song, a jazz standard, and I give them my key and give them a tempo, and away we go. But the thing is, because I was kind of nobody when I started. Nobody knew me in the scene. They had no reason to say yes, go ahead and sing. But I
Hmm.
think at the beginning, it probably happened a lot because they'd be a little bit like, "Oh yeah, she's a bit pretty. Go ahead, let her belt one out." And at
Let her
the
attract
end,
some clients.
but at the end, they kind of looked at me, or and it was clear that they were like, "Oh, we didn't think you were going to be able to actually sing." And so it kind of started like that. But it's true that there are definitely divides like that. But I have to say, on the whole, Paris jazz scene has been incredibly welcoming, and I was able to train that way because I had no jazz background at all. I just kind of showed up, and then showed up again the next night, and then showed up the next night, and learned how to do it.
That's so
And
great.
really because people here gave me a chance, and I'm still so grateful to those musicians, and I still try and when I get my own gigs now, I try and make sure that those are the people who accompany me.
You watch each other's backs, and I know musicians are some of the ones that have suffered the most through the pandemic because there wasn't very much like government funding for you guys. A lot of times you're working in the street or under the table at clubs. So I think you guys have really had the hardest time with COVID.
Yeah, well, I know that most of my friends are suffering, and I've been lucky because I already had another activity, so there wasn't any real immediate interruption in terms of income and that sort of thing. But most of my friends are on what's called the intermittent scheme
Hmm.
here. So artists are, it has to be said, very protected in France. If you work a certain number of hours with declared gigs, you have the right to unemployment benefits and that sort of thing when you have slow periods or when you don't have any gigs for a while. That applies not just to jazz musicians, but to all musicians, classical as well. Certain technical staff who work in
Hmm.
theater and that sort of thing, actors, they all benefit from this scheme. And so some of them are protected, but not everybody is on the intermittent scheme. So
Yeah,
it's not been easy. And then certainly for me, I know that my gigs kind of just started to take off, and I started getting asked to do concerts and was starting to get regular work when COVID kicked in. But and so that's been kind of really hard to accept because I felt like it had just started, and I had the sails billowing with the wind and all that stuff, and then so that's been a little bit brutal, but it has opened up a lot of other opportunities. And actually, I never stopped making music in the confinement. I think the lockdown probably it's music that kept me sane. So, for example, I would learn one new jazz standard a day during the first lockdown. So that means like
that's
60 new
great.
songs. So
Wow.
I would just have it on repeat in my house, and I'd sing it and sing it and sing it until it was just imprinted in my brain. And so when the moment came to leave lockdown and go out and sing, and there was really nowhere to do it but in the street. So we'd go out, and I'd meet up with musicians, and we'd test out all this new repertoire. I remember it was on my New Year's resolution to learn this song by Billy Strayhorn called "Lush Life." It's probably the most depressing song ever written. Um, it's kind of really tricky and a bit treacherous harmonically and that sort of thing. And I had sort of been listening to it and going like, oh, I'll never be able to learn this. And then sort of the first week of lockdown, I had it down pat because that's all I
Wow.
did.
So it worked out well for you, the lockdown. You had time to focus.
Yeah, time to focus, to listen to myself and really apply, I guess, what I'd learned singing in the clubs, and also a chance to slow down because when I started singing jazz in all the little jazz bars and the cave here, it was kind of a really intense rhythm. I felt like I discovered what was missing for me in Paris. Paris suddenly
Mhm.
made sense in a whole different way.
Mhm.
I always felt fairly integrated, but it just opened up in a completely unexpected way and transformed my Paris experience in a big way. And so I got a bit obsessed with it, and I was going really to a club almost every night to sing. And sometimes I would go to maybe 2 or 3 clubs a night to sing, and maybe I would sing until 3 a.m.
Whoa.
and then go to work the next morning. So
Oh,
I was living
wow.
like kind of a double life, and
Yeah.
the fact of finding myself like everybody else in lockdown forced me to kind of slow down and study it and take a new perspective and learn in a different way. So there wasn't this frenetic rhythm that that had been really helping me grow a lot for the last the year leading up to lockdown. It really kind of forced me to stop and listen to my voice differently, to sing things differently, to try different things. And I also in the last confinement recorded my first album. So it definitely wouldn't have happened, I think, if it weren't for lockdown. I think I
Yeah.
probably would have waited until I was, ready, entre guillemets. But what is ready, really? I think I was really forced um, to push myself to make things happen.
I completely agree. And congratulations on the new album. That's so exciting.
Thanks so much. Yeah, really excited.
Talk a little bit
um,
about what it's like to perform in the streets of Paris. I find this so fascinating. Like you just pick a spot and you go out there and start performing, or you're with your group and you plan to meet there. You work with accordion players and tap dancers. Like, how does this
yeah.
all work?
So there's kind of a little bit of a code about it, because it can be competitive in certain spots. There are unspoken rules and there are explicit rules. Basically, I started just because I'm very lucky. I live right in the Marais. I'm looking as we speak at the Musée Picasso.
Ah,
From
nice.
my window. It's a lovely area, and there are a lot of buskers around here. Um, I think one day a drummer, Thomas Racine, that I'd met and played with a little bit in the clubs, was saying, "I'm getting a group together to play in the Marais. Why don't you come along?" Or it was maybe actually, I think it's just that I was walking past the same people that I saw in the clubs on the street, and they would invite me to sing a song. When I started singing, I was so shy that I didn't want people to look at me. I couldn't look.
Ah,
I would sometimes close my eyes when I was singing, just just pretend really that nobody was there. And it's really opened up and transformed my outlook. Just being able to sing in the street has opened up a different kind of path, mainly because um, people are just walking past, right? If you
yeah.
attract their attention, if they stop, it's already something a little bit special. And
Mhm.
so maybe that brought me out of my shell a little. I started like trying to get people to make eye contact, trying to get people to stop. And sometimes it all just happens so organically, and sometimes we just have a huge crowd in front of us
That's so great.
before the first song had even finished. But yeah, I mean, I started seeing musicians that I recognized from the bars out in the street, and I just do what I did in the bars, just invite myself over and start singing.
That's so
Um,
brave of you. I mean, most people would never have the guts to do that. Like, how did you amp yourself up to do that?
I remember very distinctly the first time I sang in Paris publicly. Um, or at least jazz. I know I think I probably tried to play accordion a little bit in an open mic night or something, and it probably went very badly. But one day, it was before I lived in the Marais. I was living back just behind the Notre Dame, and one day I just came home from work and I was checking my mail in the stairway, and I think singing a little tune under my breath. And this this elderly, very dapper elderly gentleman, a little bit strange, with long white hair, was slowly going up the stairs and said, "Ah, vous êtes chanteuse, mademoiselle?" And I was like, not really, but I sing." And he was like, "Come and sing in my concert. I'm playing half an hour from now downstairs in the bar, Le Violon Dingue."
No.
And so I was like, "Sure, I'll come and listen." and and I showed up, and he was there with a pianist who I now play with regularly, and a drummer. And they were doing like really old school jazz, like really old school, really fun, upbeat swing style. And I didn't know any of that stuff. So when he invited me to sing, I was like, well, what do I sing? And I just sort of racked my brain, and I had maybe three jazz standards that I knew. Um, there were things like Someone in Love, the Nat King Cole one.
Uh-huh.
By Mirbis Duchesne, it's the Andrews sisters. So I think we sang that. And from there, the pianist invited me to sing at his gig that he had a few days later, just down the road at a bar called Le Piano Vache. And then the owner started to say, I started coming back regularly and singing with the same pianist. He had a gig there every week. I would choose a song, I would learn it in a very disciplined way, and I would come in and
That's
premiere the song.
crazy.
And then the owner of Piano Vache started saying, well, why don't you do a whole concert here? And I was like, oh no, I could never do a concert. I don't have any songs. Like I had 6 songs, 10 songs. And he kept asking and asking. And then one day I just went, you know what? Okay.
Wow.
Okay. And it happened the same week. I think I was at another bar. It was a crêperie, and they were doing secret jazz concerts upstairs.
Secret
And
jazz concerts at the creperie. I mean, what could be more French?
yeah, you would have a crêpe and listen to jazz. They don't do concerts there anymore, unfortunately, at Elul. But it was wonderful because it was such a small space. You were always literally surrounded by musicians. You were just in a bubble of music, whether you wanted to be or not. And yeah, one day there was a Japanese pianist named Hiroshi Murayama, and he listened. And at the end, I left, and he was kind of like running after me in the street to say, "What was that song? Do you sing concerts?" And I said, "No, but could we maybe do one?" And it
Oh,
really just
wow.
started like that. Completely organically, with just people who are willing to give me a chance. But I have to say, Paris is full of opportunities like that. I think you just have to open yourself up to them and not be afraid.
Yeah, definitely. I love how it all started with you just humming next to your mailbox. Like,
Yep.
how crazy is that?
I
And
would
that
say it was
guy's,
also possibly like the moment that I needed jazz. I think jazz probably saved me because I was kind of going through a rough patch. I was at the time going out with a kind of very famous French musician who turned out to be a psychopath and broke my heart in a big way and stuff.
oh,
And I felt like really trapped in this terrible situation, and suddenly feeling this very deep need to express myself in English. Because
mhm.
I work with French companies all the time, and I work with French artists, so I just didn't have very many occasions to speak English. All my friends were French at the time. Now it's not so much the case because there's so many expats and from all over the world playing jazz here. But yeah, it was a moment where I wouldn't have been able to hold it back. I needed to express myself. So the American songbook was somehow the perfect solution because all the emotions are there. There's so many painful emotions to go through in one single Sarah Vaughan song. It was
Yeah.
just all there waiting for me, and I felt for the first time. I've sung all kinds of things, but singing jazz, I suddenly realized that I'd found my repertoire, the repertoire that made sense and through which I could express myself the most. Well, I guess efficiently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You,
So I really have Paris to thank for opening all that up. But to return to the subject of singing in the street, there are kind of rules. There are different approaches. For instance, in the Marais, I found a terrace where the owner actually likes the music. We usually would go to a terrace, maybe just me and a guitarist, or me and two or three other musicians, and we'd usually ask out of courtesy if we could play a little bit outside.
Hmm.
And some would just send us packing straight away without listening, and some would be really polite and open to it. One of my favorite terraces, Terrace de Fumoir, just opposite the Louvre. I love singing there because all the waiters look really happy to see us.
Oh.
They put drinks on the table for us and stuff afterwards. I found one place in the Marché where the owner was a little bit curmudgeonly at first. He was a little bit grouchy, and he was like, "Well, it had better be good," and then don't play too loud and stuff. And I think jazz is just such a if you hit the right mood, it just kind of opens everyone up and makes people smile.
Hmm.
And especially in a post lockdown context where people haven't seen
Yeah.
music for a little while. And so we saw him sort of like listening a little bit grudgingly on the terrace, and at one moment his face changed a little bit. He had this little chihuahua, a brown chihuahua that's always there with him while he's eating his lunch on the terrace of his restaurant. The chihuahua's name is Cookie, and Cookie really likes the music, so he'll come up and like dance at my feet while I'm singing, I don't
Oh.
know, Sunny Side of the Street or something like that. So the owner put some money in the hat and was like, "Oh, you have the right. You can come and ask all my customers for money. You can pass the hat around when you've finished your set, and you can play here whenever you like." So that's really nice.
That's so sweet. So you won over the dog and you won over the owner.
Basically, yeah. But but I'm always happy to see Cookie.
Cookie.
Hey, Cookie, I've learned a new song for you. Um, there are less welcoming situations. We get a lot of calls from the police, just from neighbors. It'll just take. It's really funny. Sometimes I'll be singing and there's one neighbor who's screaming at us to stop. We want
Oh,
a
wow.
a peaceful. We want on veut un quartier tranquille, and then there'll be another neighbor at the window next door going, "Would you stop? I've been listening for 2 hours. It's great. Like, don't stop it." So we'll start little polemic in the neighborhood, which is fun. But we're always a little bit weary of police because you're supposed to have a license, obviously, to play, but it's very
Yeah.
restricted in terms of where you can play and when. So most people just wing it and move along if
Yeah,
you need to
yeah.
move along. The Seine is really magical to play. One day we were walking past a swing dancers singing along the Seine just opposite the Institut du Monde Arabe, and they were all dancing to pre-recorded music. And so we came up, we had our instruments with us, and we said, "Could we play for you?"
This is so
and
cool.
and now they've started calling us every time they're doing a bal de swing, and so we come and we're like the official group, and we pass a hat out to the dancers at the end, and yeah, it's kind of magic to see everyone dancing. I feel like I'm gonna have to learn to really dance now because
It's
one of the
next on
next
your list. I love that though, that people are embracing it. And like you
yeah.
said, some people are always just going to be grumpy and scream out their window. But I think a lot of people really enjoy it. We were talking about earlier before we started recording how in Momart, like every week, the singers are out there, the musicians are out there, and there's big crowds gathering. I think because everything's been closed, we're just so hungry for culture.
Yeah, I know all those guys. Sometimes I sing with them. There's Joyce Anthony on trumpet, and most of those guys live in Montmartre, so it's just practical for them. But it's a special
Yeah.
ambiance, I think. And the thing we noticed the most, and especially after the first lockdown last year, um, that people were listening differently. Before, I think a lot of people would just walk by and go, "Oh yeah, it's some jazz," or they'd stop a little bit and film for 3 minutes and then walk away without giving anything in the hat, that sort of thing. But people started listening very intently. I know that the Contrescarpe in the fifth arrondissement is like really one of the most competitive places to bus because all the musicians want to go there. So there's sometimes little fights that break out and
No,
things.
no.
There's common courtesy as well, and people will wait for each other and get in line to sing and to perform. All kinds of performers, not just jazz, and good ones and bad ones. But that place was really a desert. There was nobody else performing there really, and so I started playing there with an American guitarist, but maybe 4 times a week for 3 hours. And the thing is, the square was empty. All the bars around, it's very busy bars usually, they were all shut, and people just started buying their crepe or their like kebab or whatever was open, and they would just sit sit in the little arena. It's a little circular roundabout with cobblestones. It's really lovely, and people would just sit there and listen like it was a concert. And they would stay sometimes an hour, and we were the entertainment, and we just felt like there was something different going on. It doesn't
Yeah.
happen. I have days where I'm like, where we make no money because there's no tourists, and people are in a bad mood, and
Hmm.
the police send us away from two different spots, and it's just blah.
Yeah.
But these moments after the lockdown, I really cherish because I felt like I was doing some sort of public service that was really important. People would come up to us
Hmm.
and say and really thank us sincerely, and this was such a powerful thing for thing for us. I think the first weekend after lockdown, we all actually, it wasn't even to sing. I went to do some boxing in the park with a saxophonist friend from Germany who lives here. She lives right near the Bois de Vincennes, and so we
Hmm.
found a little spot by a little lake, and we're doing our boxing. And then three musicians came, jazz musicians. She knew one of them. I didn't know any of them, and they were just starting to play some of that Django Reinhardt stuff, the manouche jazz.
Hmm.
Um, and we were like, excuse me, we're trying to box. It's noisy when you box. It makes a lot of
Yeah,
noise.
yeah.
And then just to rile us up a bit, they started playing like "Eye of the Tiger" or something. And I had no idea like that I was a singer or anything. I just wanted to do a bit of sport. So I feel like the jazz is following me around because after that, I mean, I'm in my like jogging clothes and stuff, and I'm like, hey, do you know "Stompin' at the Savoy"? Can we sing this? And suddenly it turned into like this 3 hour jazz binge in the woods. Had a crowd of socially distanced people, but like a big crowd of people who hadn't seen music for a long time, and just kids dancing, like old couples dancing as well. And I think we didn't even pass out a hat. We were just so moved and happy to be
Ah,
there.
there's some
Um,
magic about that.
yeah, totally.
Yeah,
And I think
music is magical.
yeah. And then the pianist that I recorded my album with, Jean-Baptiste Franck, he's quite a character, and he's become a close friend and collaborator. But I really met him through singing in the street. I used
Uh-huh.
to walk past all the time. He'd be playing with his piano in the Marché. He brings it around, and it's a little upright piano, kind of rickety, but always in tune. And he brings it around in his truck, and he finds a spot, and away he goes. And I used to walk past him all the time, and put a little coin in. And sometimes he'd be playing with musicians that I knew who would say, "Oh, Melissa, come and sing a song." So I'd come and join them, and this pianist, Jean-Baptiste Franck, he would never look at me or say hello, would never look at me in the eyes, and I just thought he hated me. He thought I was this terrible interloper or something. But actually, he's just quite shy. And the truth is, he comes from kind of a jazz dynasty here. His grandfather played with Sidney Bechet,
Wow.
in that group, and then his father is also a very famous saxophonist in the same style. They refer to Sidney Bechet and this family as Dieu. They really call him God. There are portraits of him in their house and everything. It's
That's
yeah, it's
fascinating.
such an amazing tradition, and so he really plays that style of kind of stride piano. So really more old school than the kinds of things that I was seeing in the jazz clubs at the time. And then one day I ran into him when he was playing in a club, and I suggested a song, and I think somebody was filming, and I saw the video later and saw that there was like some kind of like musical chemistry going on actually. So I
Uh-huh.
plucked up the courage to talk to him and to suggest we do a gig together. I had a series of concerts coming up as a residency for a bar called Madame Simone, where
Hmm.
I'd seen they had a piano and started to suggest that I run my own jam, which had become kind of a dream because I'd been to so
Yeah.
many, seen how they worked, and I thought, well, I could do this and invite all my friends, the musicians that have helped me come up and stuff. So I suggested we do a gig there, and he kind of timidly sent me two songs that he had written himself, and I was like, "Yep, I'll learn them." He was like, "Oh, cool." I think nobody had ever just offered to learn them, and so we came for a rehearsal, and he was like, "Okay, so let's hear these songs of mine, which are now on the album." I remember, I think
Ah,
I was like shaking a little because I'd never interpreted somebody's own work in front of them. I'm sitting
yeah,
like,
yeah.
guys have been dead for decades, but and so I sang it. This particular song is called "Standing Still," and it's just a really lovely. it's very old fashioned and very charming, and I got through the thing, and he just said to me, "We could record an album. We can record it right here on this piano. He has
What?
a Steinway at his house." Uh, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And I think he was just so happy to have his two songs played that he would have done a whole album of whatever else. Just but it was really the start of, it was the start of something. And we didn't record it at his house. Finally, we went out into the country. Maybe an hour's drive out of Paris to his father's house and recorded in their studio there, overlooking the Seine, but sort of 40 kilometers out of Paris. And yeah, it was just kind of a really immersive experience. I think we recorded 3 days straight, 17 songs.
Wow.
We filmed 4 videos.
You were busy.
Yeah, I was motivated because what else are we going to do, a concert? Like,
Yeah, yeah, with COVID and everything. And you had
but
the perfect setup.
yeah, and it was also just such an honor to sing something he had written. So we now when I sing with him, I feel like I have kind of a certain exclusivity on these songs, and that gives us a special bond when we play. Because we'll do all the standards, everyone knows the blue skies and the you took advantage of me and all the kind of classic standards. But these two songs are really unique to us. Nobody else is playing them in Paris, and I kind of love that. So.
Yeah, definitely. And now you have your own album. I mean, this is all so exciting. And where can people find the album? Where can people find like where you're going to be playing in the street? I guess we can't find that.
I guess you just gotta hope to run into me. It's usually in the Marais, but as the nice weather becomes a little more stable, I think it's going to be more and more often. It's so funny that I literally just sing in my street most of the time. But I think the thing to take away from this is, I guess, I mean, if you see jazz musicians playing on the street, give them some encouragement.
Yeah,
We love
yeah.
it, and we love making this connection. I think it's so important right now. And I think if we feel collectively that people appreciate it, it really just makes our day.
Hmm.
So
So it doesn't have to even be about money, just like acknowledging, making eye contact, smiling.
yeah, it helps a lot too, for sure.
But
Yeah,
money's great too. We like money.
I'm so looking forward to the tourists coming back, but
For sure.
but
June 9th.
yeah.
Holding out hope. And do you have any advice for people who are struggling to find their creative talents?
I must have some advice. I think it's going to come out as I think about it now. But I can say that I am someone who obviously had some sort of creative fiber, and I was always working with musicians, always working kind of around it. I think perhaps because I was too scared to do anything myself, and that protected me. The
Hmm.
fact that I was working with these illustrious musicians was just like, well, why would I do anything at my little, at my level? What's the
Hmm.
point? You're surrounded by such great talent. But actually, it's been such a meaningful experience to accept that yes, I can do this as well. I guess that's the first step. Actually, just like believing in yourself. It's such an obvious
Yeah.
thing, but it took me years. I think imagine if I had actually started singing when I got here, it would have all happened so much faster. But I spent, I think, 5 years just like not knowing what to do with myself, creatively speaking, or trying many different things, but not having found really my heartland.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so I guess find that thing that really makes you vibrate like nothing else. And
Or have the
and then just
Parisians tell you to do it because they're all
yeah,
yelling at you to
and
make you
and
do
believe
it.
believe in believe in yourself, but also like just be open to whatever other people around you are doing, because it's really the fact that they included me. I couldn't do what I'm doing now if I didn't have these amazing musicians to accompany me. And I will never forget the ones, like the first people that I played with. I couldn't have been that good. Like I think I think I had something interesting and honest to communicate, but like technically speaking, like I didn't really have any
Hmm.
of the jazz codes. I didn't really know how to indicate the right tempo and all that stuff that I have instinctively now. So
Yeah.
a lot of people gave me a chance. So I guess always be grateful to them, and as we say in French, renvoyer l'ascenseur, pay it, make sure you can repay the kindness that they've given you one day. I'll never forget these musicians,
Yeah, I
and
think
most of them are still really part of my life in a big way. They
I,
become my family here.
I think that's such great advice, and it's such like a heartwarming story that literally like people in the streets were helping you find your passion, and they helped you like continue to do it today. You're doing all these amazing collaborations and still performing even during a pandemic. So cheers to you guys. And where can people connect with you online or find out more about your album?
Well, most of my stuff is just on Instagram, so it's Melissa Lesnie. Um, there's a Bandcamp page that has access. You can listen to the whole album, or you can buy it online, or you can buy even a physical copy if you actually have a device to play it on. We sell it a lot in the street, and people seem like delighted to have, like a physical memento still, which is kind of fun. And I mean, I think we're doing also live concerts from time to time. I think the next one will be in collaboration with an association that's called Canal Jazz.
Hmm.
That's going to be in June, but I'm not sure for the timing of this release. But
Hmm.
we'll do some concerts with them on their terrace, and also a live concert on Facebook through Canal Jazz and Jonesy Agency, which is a recording studio in Paris. And they're really wonderful. They do all kinds of things, rock, metal, whatever. And when we record this live concert for streaming, as I think everybody's doing stream concerts now, but we'll have recording with wonderful sound. And so we'll probably make it into some sort of EP or an album. So it's going to be
Wow.
another album, and that will be with a fabulous Israeli guitarist who is basically like the Django incarnate. His name is Duved Dunayevsky, and he performs with a lot of Americans and a lot of different nationalities. Wonderful musicians in a group that's called Duved's Transatlantic Five.
Okay.
So
Wow.
really
You guys,
international connections between musicians.
it sounds fantastic and so inspiring, and I can't wait to see what you'll do next. And I'm going to be looking for you in the streets of the Marais.
I hope we'll catch you in Abbess, near you or somewhere near me.
For sure. I mean,
Yeah.
that's right next to my house. So come sing outside my window. I won't scream at you. I'll only scream nice things.
Oh, that's perfect. You're our dream customer.
Thank you so much, Melissa. And I can't wait to listen to more of what you come up with.
Thanks, Crystal.
You feel sad, you miss the sweetest girl you ever had. After the years we've been together, the joy, the tears, all kinds of weather. Someday you will grow lonely, your heart will break like mine. You'll want me only after you've gone away. After you've gone, after we break up, after I've gone, one day you'll wake up and you will find that you were blind to let somebody come and change your mind. After the years we've been together, the joy, the tears, all kinds of weather. Someday, blue and downhearted, you'll wanna be with me right back where you started. After you've gone away. don't you forget it. There'll come a time you will regret it. Someday, blue and downhearted, you'll wanna be with me right back where we started. After you've gone away.
Thanks so much for tuning in to La Vie Creative. You can find more information on MissParisPhoto.com. And if you enjoyed this show, please feel free to share and spread the word for all my creative guests. We have the power to help them to keep doing what they love. See you next time.